You don't deserve to be here, my sister said at the will reading. I calmly opened my briefcase. Actually, I own all your mortgages now. The lawyer dropped his pen. The marble floors of Anderson and Pierce law firm echoed with each step as I approached the conference room. Through the glass walls, I could already see them. My sister Diana in her designer suit, my brother Marcus leaning back in his chair with that familiar smirk, and their spouses sitting like loyal soldiers in a battle formation. The conference room door felt heavy as I pushed it open. The conversation stopped abruptly, replaced by a thick silence and 5 pairs of hostile eyes. What are you doing here? Diana's voice cut through the air. She stood up, her manicured hands pressed against the mahogany table. This is a private family matter. I adjusted my simple black blazer, feeling suddenly aware of how it paled in comparison to her Chanel suit. Dad's will reading is in 10 minutes. I'm still his daughter, aren't I? Marcus let out a dramatic sigh. Come on, sis. We all know Dad cut you out years ago when you refused to join the family business. You chose to be a financial advisor, instead. He made air quotes with his fingers. If that's even what you really do. You don't deserve to be here, Diana added, her voice dripping with contempt. You abandoned the family. Walked away from everything Dad built. Now you want to share. I took a seat at the far end of the table, placing my worn briefcase carefully beside me. The lawyer would be here any minute and I needed to stay calm. Years of preparation had led to this moment. I'm not here for what you think, I said quietly. Diana's husband James, a banking executive with more ambition than ethics, scoffed. Then why are you here? To see how much you lost by betraying your father's wishes. The memories flooded back. Dad's ultimatum 5 years ago, the screaming matches the threats. Join the company or you're dead to me. He never understood that I saw the rot beneath the surface, the mounting debts, the questionable deals. Or maybe he did understand, and that's why he was so afraid of my choice to work in finance. Mr. Patterson, the family lawyer, entered the room with a thick folder. His eyes widened slightly when he saw me, but he quickly composed himself. Now that everyone's here, we can begin the reading of Harold Matthews' last will and testament. She shouldn't be here, Diana protested. Dad made it clear Ms. Matthews has every right to be present, Mr. Patterson interrupted, shuffling his papers. Now shall we proceed? The next 30 minutes unfolded exactly as I'd expected. The family estate split between Diana and Marcus. The company shares divided equally between them. The vacation properties, the art collection, the cars, all distributed among the loyal children. My name wasn't mentioned once. Diana's triumphant smile grew with each bequest. Marcus kept shooting me smug glances. Their spouses sat there looking like cats who'd gotten into the cream. When Mr. Patterson finished reading, Diana stood up. Well, that's settled. You can leave now. She gestured toward the door. Unless you want to stay and watch us discuss our inheritance? I remained seated, my hand resting on my briefcase. Actually, there are some documents you all need to see first. Documents. Marcus laughed. What documents? The will is clear. With deliberate slowness, I opened my briefcase and removed a thick folder. You're right, Marcus. The will is very clear. But so are these. What is this nonsense? Diana snapped. I laid out the papers one by one. These are mortgage documents, bank loans, credit lines. All the debt that's been quietly piling up behind the family's facade of wealth. I looked directly at Diana. Did you know Dad remortgaged the beach house 3 times? Or that the company has been operating on borrowed money for the past 2 years? The color drained from their faces as I continued. And these, I pulled out another stack, are the documents showing who now owns all that debt. Mr. Patterson leaned forward, adjusting his glasses as he examined the papers. His pen slipped from his fingers, clattering onto the table. You see, I said, my voice steady, while you were all fighting over who'd get what, I was tracking every loan, every mortgage, every debt. And over the past 3 years I've been buying them. All of them. Diana's perfectly painted lips trembled. That's impossible. You're lying. Am I? I pushed the documents toward her. Check the signatures. Check the dates. Check the amounts. $12,400,000 in total debt. Now owned by Matthews Financial Holdings. My company. Marcus grabbed the papers, his hands shaking. This can't be legal. It's perfectly legal, I replied. I used my expertise as a financial advisor to build my own investment firm. Turns out all those clients you mocked me for serving helped me build quite a substantial portfolio. Enough to buy every bit of debt this family accumulated while trying to maintain their precious image. The room fell silent as the reality sank in. Everything they just inherited came with strings attached, strings that led directly back to me. I stood up, gathering my belongings. Don't worry, I'm not planning to call in these debts immediately. Unlike some people in this room, I understand the value of family. I headed toward the door, then paused. But I do expect us to have a very interesting conversation about the future of Matthews Industries. Shall we say tomorrow morning? As I walked out, I heard Diana's muffled sob and Marcus's string of curses. Mr. Patterson was already reaching for his phone, probably to verify the document's authenticity. They'd spend the night realizing that while they were busy mocking my career choices and celebrating their inheritance, I'd been quietly building the leverage that would force them to face every mistake, every betrayal and every consequence of their actions. The real estate they just inherited? Mortgage to my company. The family business? Surviving on loans I now controlled. Their comfortable lives? Built on debt I owned. Tomorrow we'd begin discussing terms. But tonight I'd let them sit with the knowledge that their perfect inheritance was nothing but a house of cards, and I held every card. I settled into my office on the 47th floor of downtown's newest glass tower, watching the sunrise paint the city skyline in shades of gold. The view was a far cry from the dusty cubicle where I'd started my career 8 years ago. My executive assistant, Thomas, entered with a stack of folders. "They've been calling all morning. Your sister's tried 6 times, your brother 4. And the law firm? Mr. Patterson has verified all documentation. The debt transfers are ironclad." He placed a fresh coffee on my desk. "The financial statements you requested for Matthews Industries are here, along with the personal asset evaluations for both Diana and Marcus." I opened the first folder, though I already knew every number by heart. The journey to this moment had started 5 years ago, the day after Dad's ultimatum. Flashback. "You'll regret this," Dad had shouted, his face red with anger. "Walking away from your legacy for some entry-level financial job?" I'd stood my ground. "Someone needs to understand how money really works, Dad, not just how to spend it." That night I'd pulled my first all-nighter, not crying as they'd probably assumed, but researching Matthews Industries' public records, property assessments, tax filings, everything I could access legally. What I found confirmed my suspicions. Our family's wealth was built on quicksand. The next 3 years were a careful dance of 60-hour workweeks, networking and strategic planning. While Diana and Marcus attended charity galas and posted vacation photos, I was building Matthews Financial Holdings through careful investments and strategic partnerships. My first major client had been a tech startup that grew into a billion-dollar company. They trusted me with their IPO, and that success attracted more clients. Each win meant more capital, more connections, more opportunities, all while keeping my growing success hidden behind modest clothes and a deliberate low profile. "Present day. The meeting is set for 10 a.m., Thomas reported. "Your family's lawyers have requested to attend." I nodded. "Good. They'll need to understand exactly how binding these agreements are." My phone buzzed. Another text from Diana. "We need to talk before the meeting, please." I set the phone aside and opened my laptop, pulling up a document I'd prepared months ago. Matthews Industries restructuring proposal. The company needed saving whether my siblings admitted it or not. Dad's old school management and their reckless spending had left it vulnerable. I had a plan to modernize operations, streamline costs, and expand into emerging markets. But first they needed to understand exactly how precarious their position was. Thomas cleared his throat. "There's something else. Your brother's wife has been asking questions at their country club. Apparently, some of their regular lunch crowd includes your clients." I smiled. Of course they did. I'd carefully cultivated relationships with exactly the right people over the years. The same social circles my siblings used for showing off I'd used for building my empire. "Speaking of clients," Thomas continued, "Mr. Davidson from the merger deal called. The papers are ready for signing whenever you're free." The Davidson deal. My latest acquisition that would push Matthews Financial Holdings past the billion-dollar valuation mark. The irony wasn't lost on me that this milestone would come the same week I finally revealed myself to my family. I spent the next hour reviewing the documents for the meeting. Each page represented a piece of the puzzle I'd carefully assembled. The beach house mortgage, $2,300,000. The company's operating loans, $5,700,000. Diana's personal credit lines, $1,800,000. Marcus's investment debt, $2,600,000, plus various smaller loans and obligations they'd accumulated trying to maintain their lifestyles. My phone buzzed again. "Marcus, this time. This is ridiculous. You can't do this to your own family." Family? The word they only seemed to remember when they needed something. I thought back to all the moments that had led here. Diana mocking my little office job, at Mom's funeral 2 years ago. Marcus telling his friends I was just a banker at his wedding. The holiday dinners where they seated me at the kids' table. The family photos I was conveniently left out of. Each slight had only fueled my determination. While they were laughing, I was learning. While they were spending, I was investing. While they were burning bridges, I was building an empire. A knock at my door interrupted my thoughts. It was Sandra, my head of legal. "Everything's in order," she reported, setting down another folder. "I've reviewed all the debt contracts. They're ironclad. Your siblings' lawyers won't find any loopholes. And the restructuring proposal? Aggressive but fair. It gives them a path forward while ensuring you maintain control." She paused. Are you sure you want to do this? Once we start, there's no going back. I stood up and walked to the window looking down at the city below. They need this wake-up call. The company needs new leadership. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing it to save what Dad built, even if he never understood that. Sandra nodded. The conference room is ready. We've set up the presentation and have copies of all relevant documents. Perfect. I checked my watch. 9:30. Let's give them a few minutes to stew when they arrive. I want them to see exactly where they are and who they're dealing with. As Sandra left, I opened my desk drawer and pulled out an old photo. Dad, Mom, Diana, Marcus, and me at the company's 30th anniversary. We were all smiling then before money and power had twisted everything. My phone lit up with another message, this time from an unknown number. Diana's husband, whatever your prices name it, this can all go away. They still didn't get it. This wasn't about money. It was about responsibility, about consequences, about finally bringing order to the chaos they'd created. Thomas appeared at my door. They're starting to arrive. Diana and her husband are already in the conference room. Marcus is in the lobby. I gathered my files and straightened my jacket. A custom-made piece that cost more than Diana's entire wardrobe, though its subtle elegance wouldn't show it. One more thing, Thomas added with a slight smile. The Forbes article about you is scheduled to go live at noon. Perfect timing. By then my siblings would understand exactly who they'd been underestimating all these years. I took one last look at the photo before returning it to the drawer. It's time. The walk to the conference room felt like a culmination of every step I'd taken over the past 5 years. Every late night, every careful investment, every quiet victory had led to this moment. Through the glass walls I could see Diana pacing her designer heels clicking against the floor. Her husband sat stiffly in his chair already sweating. Marcus had just entered, his usual swagger replaced by nervous energy. Their lawyers huddled at one end of the table, papers spread out before them. Mr. Patterson sat alone at the other end, looking older than I'd ever seen him. I paused outside the door remembering Diana's words from yesterday. You don't deserve to be here. How wrong she'd been. This wasn't just about deserving. This was about earning. And I'd earned every bit of what was about to happen. I nodded to Thomas. It was time to show my family exactly who I'd become while they weren't watching. The conference room fell silent as I entered. Gone was the contempt in their eyes, replaced by a mixture of fear and desperate calculation. My heels clicked against the marble floor, each step measured deliberate. Good morning, I said, taking my position at the head of the table. I trust everyone's had time to review the documents? Diana's husband James jumped in first. This is absurd. You can't just dash. Actually I can. I nodded to Sandra, who began distributing new folders. These documents outline exactly what I can do. But more importantly, they outline what I'm willing to do instead. Marcus flipped through the papers frantically. What is this? A takeover? A rescue, I corrected. Matthews Industries is 3 months away from insolvency. The company's debt-to-equity ratio is unsustainable. Client contracts are being lost to competitors. And the market value of our core businesses has dropped 40% in 2 years. Diana's face flushed. That's not true. Dad would never dash. Dad hasn't been making the decisions for years. I cut in, pulling up the financial projections on the screen. You do have. And here are the results. The graphs told a stark story. Declining revenues, mounting debts, failed expansions. 5 years of mismanagement displayed in clean, brutal lines. But that's why we're here. I clicked to the next slide. Matthews Financial Holdings proposes a complete restructuring. Their lawyers leaned forward as I outlined the terms. A debt-for-equity swap that would give my company controlling interest. A new management structure with professional executives. A modernization plan for core businesses. And most importantly, a path for Diana and Marcus to retain meaningful roles if they proved themselves capable. This is blackmail, Marcus sputtered. This is business, I corrected. The same business you mocked me for learning while you were busy playing executive. Just then phones around the table started buzzing. Right on schedule. Rising star in finance. The secret billionaire transforming the industry. Diana read from her phone, her voice shaking. This is about you? I let them read further about my firm's success, our billion-dollar valuations, the string of successful ventures. 5 years of hidden achievements exposed in one comprehensive Forbes profile. All this time. Marcus looked up, his arrogance finally cracking. While we thought you were just some financial advisor, I was building something real, I finished. Not living off Dad's name. Not playing with inherited money. Building. Mr. Patterson cleared his throat. The terms of this restructuring are quite generous considering the circumstances. You're offering them a chance to stay involved. Under my control, Diana spat. Under competent leadership, I corrected. You have 1 hour to decide. Either accept the restructuring or I'll call in all the debts immediately. The choice is yours. The next 50 minutes were a blur of urgent whispers, hurried phone calls and frantic consultations with lawyers. I sat quietly watching them come to terms with their new reality. Finally, Diana spoke. Before we decide, I need to know. Why didn't you tell us about your success? I considered the question carefully. Would you have believed me? Or would you have just found new ways to mock my choices? The flash of shame on her face was answer enough. We accept, Marcus said quietly. We don't have a choice, do we? You always had choices, I replied. You chose to dismiss me. You chose to mismanage Dad's company. You chose to live beyond your means. Now you're choosing to accept help, even if it's not on your terms. The next hour was signatures and legalities. With each page I watched their old lives slip away. The unchecked spending, the casual cruelty, the easy arrogance. As the lawyers packed up their briefcases, I stood. The new management team starts Monday. I expect you both there, ready to learn, not pretend. And if we refuse? Diana asked, but the fight had left her voice. Then you'll find out exactly how difficult life can be without a safety net. I gathered my things. But I don't think you'll refuse, because deep down you know this company needs saving. And for once in your lives, you'll have to earn your place in it. They filed out slowly, shoulders slumped, designer labels suddenly looking more like costumes than armor. Only Mr. Patterson remained. Your father, he said quietly, would be proud. Not of them. Of you. I shook my head. Dad never understood that protecting his legacy meant changing it. But he will. I handed him one final document. Once the restructuring is complete, I'm renaming the company Matthews Financial Group. A new beginning. Later that evening I stood at my office window watching the city lights flicker on. My phone had been quiet for hours. No more desperate calls or angry texts. Thomas appeared with a glass of champagne. Congratulations, Ms. Matthews. Or should I say Faux Matthews? I took the glass thinking about the long road ahead. Saving the company wouldn't be easy. Teaching my siblings real business would be even harder. But as I looked at my reflection in the window, no longer the dismissed younger sister but the leader I'd worked to become, I knew one thing. Every moment of underestimation, every dismissive comment, every family dinner spent at the kids' table had led to this. They thought I was settling for less by choosing finance over the family business. They never understood I was actually choosing more, choosing to earn my success rather than inherit it. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Diana. I'm sorry for everything. Can we talk tomorrow? About the company. About learning. I smiled, typing back a simple response. My office. 9 a.m. Don't be late. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's reconstruction. Building something stronger from the ashes of what was broken. And as I raised my glass to the city skyline, I knew this was just the beginning.